Hello, everyone, and welcome to the series of passive voice in all 12 tenses. Today, I'll be explaining changing active sentences to passive form in present perfect, progressive, or continuous tense. But keep in mind that in written English, it's not a good idea to change active sentences to passive form in all perfect continuous tenses. Present perfect, continuous, past, and future perfect continuous tense. But in spoken English, it has been proven that native speakers use the passive form of these perfect continuous tenses. Therefore, I want to explain how you can change sentences from active to passive form in present perfect progressive tense. Let's begin with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So, look at the first example. She has been learning English since last year. Keep in mind that whenever we use present perfect progressive tense, most commonly, mainly, the idea is that an action started in the past continuously comes to the present time and may or may not continue in the future. This is the main usage of present perfect, progressive, or continuous tense. So she has been learning English since last year. The action of learning English started last year at an unspecific time in the past. It's still going on and may or may not continue in the future. But the point is that look at the structure. It's pretty easy. Once again, I'm saying it's pretty easy. You use almost the same structure, like the same kind of sentence, but only one thing, one word is added in passive form. So look here, she, subject, has, a helping verb, been, helping verb, learning, main verb ing, English, object, and since last year, rest of the sentence. And now look at this example. English, subject, has, helping verb, been, helping verb, but being. In passive form, the only thing you need to do is just add another auxiliary like being. You already have two auxiliaries, have, has, plus been, but you add one more auxiliary or helping verb, being, like here. And the next thing that you need to do is change the main verb to third form or past participle form. So learning here, ing form, but here past participle third form. By her since last year, this rest of the sentence. So English has been being learned by her since last year. Now look at this example. He has not been watching Indian movies for 10 years. So usually in present perfect continuous tense, we use the prepositions for and since. So since, and then you mention the exact starting point of time in the past, like last year here. But after for, preposition for, you mention a time duration, 10 years, many years, several years, a few years, or whatever. So now again, look at the structure. He has not been watching Indian movies for 10 years. It's a negative sentence, it's a negative form. So he, subject, has, and then not, and then been. Keep in mind that the word not comes between these two auxiliaries, has, not, been, and then main verb ing form, and then Indian movies is the object. So subject here, he, is the doer of this action, watching, and the object is the receiver of this action, and therefore we say it is passive form. But as I've said this several times before in my other lessons, that this is something very, very important for you to keep in mind, that these 3 points, like, always your object of the active sentence becomes the subject of your passive sentence, and the subject of your active sentence becomes the object of preposition. Here, like by him, see, he is changed to him, and the main verb is changed to past participle or third form. Auxiliaries, yeah, it's very important to know in which tense which auxiliary should be used. Like in present perfect continuous tense, you use have, has not, negative form, not been, and you only add one more auxiliary in passive form after been, which is being, and that's all. That's all, pretty easy. So Indian movies have not been being watched by him. But keep in mind that here we have has, because our subject is third person singular, Okay, and here we have the helping verb have, because Indian movies, our subject is plural, so therefore we need have. And then before main verb in third form, watched, but you need being to show, to give us an idea that the action is in progress. Okay, to show that this sentence was changed from a continuous form of the active form. So that's all. Okay, now interrogatives. Look, I mean, at the beginning, the helping verb have or has according to the subject, then subject she, like here, and then been, and then main verb ing, and then object and the rest of this. So he has been drinking coffee for a while. Okay, and now you want to change it. So sorry, I mean it's a question form, like yes, no question, interrogative. Has she been drinking coffee for a while? It's a question. Yes, she has. No, she hasn't. Okay, but when you change it, see, she became the object of preposition by her here. Okay, and coffee, that was the object there of your active form. It became the subject of a passive sentence. So has coffee been being drunk by her for a while? Okay, now it is passive form. There's another example. Have they been talking to you for an hour? And no change. Okay. The reason this sentence is not changeable is because the main verb over here, talking or talk, it's intransitive. Okay, because there's a preposition between object and, so now you, I mean this word, this pronoun you is the object of preposition. The verb doesn't need any preposition because it's intransitive. In other words, in simple words, if the main verb of a sentence takes an object directly, like there is no any preposition, like here, like to or with, or whatever preposition, in or on or at, or, so that is transitive, and that sentence is changeable from active to passive form. But if you see a preposition between your main verb and object, then that sentence is not changeable from active to passive form because the verb is intransitive. Or there may not be any preposition at all. For example, have they been talking? Okay, so there may not be any preposition. So I hope you understood this point. And now negative interrogative. So we have complete form and we have the short form. Complete form, has he not been digging out the ground since morning? Look, I mean the subject comes between the first auxiliary has and not, and then been, I mean the second auxiliary comes after the word not. Okay, so he has not been, and then main verb ing form, digging out the ground since morning. Now you want to change it. Okay, almost the same structure, but you see the differences, like your object of active sentence became the subject of your passive sentence, and the subject of your active sentence became the object of preposition here, but almost similar structure. Has the ground not been being, one more auxiliary, being in passive form, you add this auxiliary, dug out by him since morning. Okay, so the third form of dig out is dug out. Okay, so main verb in third form. In the short form, which is very common in daily spoken English, is here. Like instead of using your subject between have, has, and not, you just bring, I mean the short form haven't or hasn't at the beginning, and then subject, and then the second auxiliary, and then main verb ing. Look at this example. Hasn't he been digging out the ground since morning? The short form. Hasn't the ground been being dug out by him since morning? This is how you change negative interrogatives in present perfect progressive tense. And now we have information questions or WH questions. Look at the structure. At the beginning, you bring your WH question word, whatever that is, and then the helping verbs have and has, according to the structure, obviously. Afghanistan is a singular subject, so has is used here. And after subject, you need been, and then main verb ing form. Then the object, because object is necessary. If there is no object in your active sentence, that sentence cannot be changed to passive form. There should be an object, and there must not be any preposition between your main verb and the object. If there is a preposition, again, the main verb is intransitive, and that sentence is not changeable. So for centuries. Now I'm going to read the example. How has Afghanistan been defeating superpowers for centuries? How has Afghanistan been defeating superpowers for centuries? And now you want to change it to passive form. So you bring the same WH question over here. How have instead of has have. Why? Because now our subject of the passive sentence superpowers is a plural now. So therefore we need have. So how have superpowers been? Then you only add one more auxiliary being and you change main verb to third form of past participle form, defeated by Afghanistan for centuries, let's say. Okay, so how have superpowers been being defeated by Afghanistan for centuries? This is your passive form. Now look at this example. Who has been governing Afghanistan recently or lately? Who has been governing Afghanistan recently? Now we have Afghanistan, which comes after main verb governing, and obviously it is the object of this main verb. But we don't see any subject, he, she, or the name of a person or place or thing. So keep in mind that the word who itself functions here as the subject of this WH question. Of this WH question. Because our question is about the doer of this action governing. So when we ask our question about the doer of action using who, the word who, keep in mind that in that case, the subject of your sentence is the word who itself. Don't forget, this is very important. Okay, so who has been governing Afghanistan recently? Now, for example, you say Taliban have been governing Afghanistan recently, or Mullah Muhammad Hassan, the prime minister. So now who's governing? Okay, Taliban are governing Afghanistan. Now Taliban, the doer of this action governing. So the question was about, the doer of the action, and therefore, the word who itself functions as the subject of this question. I hope it is clear. Now there are two ways. Okay, in normal daily spoken English, you may use this way, the first way. Who has Afghanistan been being governed by recently? Okay, so you bring the preposition by after the main verb or almost at the end of your sentence. And if you want to be somehow formal, in that case, you bring the preposition at the beginning of your question and then you change the word who to whom. It becomes more formal, okay, more academic. So by whom has Afghanistan been being governed recently? I hope this concept is also clear. Stay with the Practical English brain for more useful videos like this. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, so you may just push the subscribe button in order to receive more videos like this. Have a great time for now, and bye bye.